Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, World Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 50 TP prototype in World of Tanks Blitz, the Tier 9 Polish heavy tank that, well, we've been waiting over a year to come into the game now. Now, I remember making my video about 8 months ago talking about these statistics after they had finally come out in Blitzhanger, and, well, it's been 8 months since that video, and still no progress has been made on this tank, except, well, it's finally been brought back into testing. Now, I can say I'm not a tester, and as well, this vehicle is not actually in my garage. It's just a skinned file over my Progetto. It's replacing the statistics and everything else like that, so I can make a review, not only talk about the armor profile, but as well everything you need to know about this tank in today's video when it does come out. But of course, one thing you need to keep in mind is that everything said about the statistics and the armor profile of this tank in today's video are subject to change. This is a testing vehicle, and I can tell you from what I said originally when I was making my review on this tank, and now that it is extremely overpowered in the current state. So keep that in mind and keep an open mind that this vehicle will most indefinitely be nerfed when it does finally come out into the Blitz stores. Now, as well, a really cool thing about the 50 TP prototype is that when Wargaming is releasing a new type of vehicle, as we all know, especially for World of Tanks PC, they kind of follow a normal pattern, just like the Bisonte, the brand new, I think it's the auto-reloading Tier 8 heavy tank that is for the World of Tanks PC event for Christmas. Well, it's before the auto-reloading heavies come in as a line. So I think that Wargaming is planning on releasing, after the TVP line, the 50 TP, and then maybe they're going to release the 60 TP, the 53 TP, and the 40 TP, or whatever it is, as the Polish heavy tank line coming in the Blitz. So maybe, just maybe. But enough about the jibber-jabber. Let's get into the statistics of this vehicle, and as well we can break into the armor profile. So, as I said, this tank's statistics are subject to change, and they're very, very weird. You'll see that the aiming time is solid at 3.9 seconds. It's got good dispersion at 0.344. It's got decent DPM at 2,278, and as well an average reload at around a 12-second reload. And the thing about this vehicle is that it carries a Tier 10 gun, which is weird because it says it's Tier 9, but there is no way in heck a Tier 9 would be having 271 standard pen and 357 on the premium. Now, you'd think that 357, if it was heat, isn't super impressive, but this is a PCR. Now, to give an example of how strong 357 millimeters of pen is, the Super Conch and the AMX 50B are some of the highest penetration Tier 10 heavies in Blitz. They have got super good APCR that is capable of cutting through a Kronwagen when it's sitting on flat ground, which is ridiculous. And, well, when we take a look at the 50B, with Callion, it's 357. That is ridiculous that this Tier 9 heavy is able to have as much penetration as a Tier 10 AMX 50B. It's actually quite ludicrous. Now, not only does it have crazy pen, but as well, the standard damage is a new number, 440. The APCR is 380, and the high explosive is 560. So it's actually got some really good numbers going for it, especially for the lower DPM, and it comes with 8 degrees of gun depression. Pretty much what I compared this thing to was an ST1, just with better gun, better armor, and as well, I think more mobility, if I'm not mistaken. We take a look at the mobility. Yeah, it's got a power-to-weight ratio of 16, able to go 48 kilometers per hour forward and 15 in reverse. The big killer of the ST1, in my opinion, is the mobility. It's a super strong tank. In fact, it's got 8 degrees of gun depression. It's got super strong turret armor. It's got a good gun, similar penetration values. I think 374 on the heat. Yeah, you can see that. It's got very similar values to the TP, but the issue with the ST1 is the mobility. You take a look at the engine power, it's terrible power to weight of 13.4, and the top speed is 40. So the TP just takes the one issue you find with the ST1, and it completely scraps it right out of the drawing board. And you may ask, well, what does the armor look like? Well, we can go take a look really quickly now, and we will see that it is pretty dang impressive. So this is the armor. It's not as good as an ST1, at least on the hull, but it's not bad. It's about 168 millimeters on the lower plate. Now, I will say FE4202s, and as well FE2 and 5B 183s, oh boy, will they be slurping up your lower plate. However, when you're using gun depression, that lower plate becomes quite troll. As you can see, if you're hiding it, you're not going to be able to get shots into that, and the upper plate is very, very weirdly angled. You've got like the little view, or I don't really know what it is, the gunner's hatch we can call it, where a person would be trying to, I guess, scope out where the enemy is, well, that spot there is the biggest weak spot on the front. It's ranging at about 240 to 220 millimeters thick, which isn't great, but if you're using the gun depression on this vehicle, you can see that it becomes very, very sturdy. 250, but even with premium, you'll see that it's a big weak spot, especially as well, the edges around the turret is a big, big weak spot. But because the gun is mounted so high on the vehicle, if you're just showing the tip of your gun on this tank and you're hiding everything else, you can see that the turret is ridiculously strong, sitting upwards of 350 to 400 millimeters thick. So it's still got really strong upper plate armor, and as well, if you're shooting at the just base of the upper plate, you can see that it's really, really impressive. Even a PCR from a mouse, even using Cali, cannot penetrate through it. So very impressive values on the standard armor of this tank. It is going to be an extremely troll one to penetrate. Now, you actually can penetrate the roof of the turret. If you do have some super high penetration rounds, let's say like a VK-72 shooting heat, you can see that you can penetrate the upper part of the turret, about 268 and 240 up there, but it still will be a very, very tricky penetration. So let's go back to that mouse. Now as well, taking a look at the side armor, you can see it's very weird. It's got like some angles down here. The side is very, very thick. You can over-angle it quite a bit, get some nice bounces in there. You can see about 20 degrees of angling. It's still going to get a lot of thick bounces as well, because you can see that it's got that big, chunky spaced armor all over it. Now, you cannot penetrate HE anywhere on the side of this tank, and as well, the rear is a very, very odd design, but it's just thick enough to where you'll penetrate high explosive from 150 millimeters on the rear of this tank. So that's one thing you definitely want to keep in mind. But the rear of the turret, very, very sturdy. Honestly, the tank looks great. I think it's a cool new vehicle that will be coming into the game, but for how mobile it is, how strong the armor is, and how ridiculous the gun's penetration is, it's really going to be an extremely strong tank. And I will say, in the current statistics, it's not like, in my opinion, it's going to be overpowered. It is definitely an overpowered vehicle. I've spoken to some of the testers, not even in my clan, because of course I don't want anybody to get suspicions, and well, they've said that it is a very strong tank. They're not really to say their own opinions on it because, of course, it's NDA, but they can pretty much voice that it's quite an OP tank. So if we take a look at now just how strong the premium pen is on the 50 TP, well, this is it looking at a mouse. Yeah, this is the premium with Cali on it. So yeah, we take a look at that upper plate, cuts right through it. Take a look at the turret cheeks, cuts right through it. Even angling, literally you cannot angle enough, and the 50 TP will still cut through it. Even if we get out, let's say, a Kronwagen, which as we know has got the strongest turret at tier 10 currently, well, that Kronwagen stands literally no chance of bouncing a 50 TP shell. Where is it? It's European. Here's a oh, no, I misclicked. No, there we go. All right, this is a Kronwagen for you when the 50 TP aims at it. Even a Kron, the 50 TP can penetrate through, which is quite ridiculous that it even has the chance. Now, of course, it can't do it hull down, but just the fact that it can penetrate a Kron's turret in the first place is crazy. So this is the 50 TP. In my opinion, it is going to be an extremely overpowered tank, and it will 100% be nerfed by the time it comes into the game. In fact, the reason that it has not come out yet is because I've been told that it is so overpowered and strongly performing in the tier 9 matchmaker currently when it was in super testing that Wargaming actually just decided to scrap the whole project, and now they're bringing it back out for super testing. So we're going to have to see if that is true, if it is a ridiculous tank. By the way, some of the testers perform. We can, of course, see their statistics, so we'll see. But hopefully you enjoyed today's video. As always, if you did, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, as it helps out the channel a crazy, crazy amount. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, to be seeing you in the next one.